Hey guys, I'm back and today is going to be a little bit different. It's still a behind the scenes vlog style video, but I figured today would be better to show some workflow challenges or some challenges that I come across sometimes in post-production. And I figured that might be worth showing versus the shoot that only took 30 minutes that wasn't really exciting and really wasn't anything new that I learned or anything worth showing, essentially. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's problem solving. And one of the things that I've come across many years of me recording videos and making movies, home movies or whatever, is that I always, at some point, have a batch of clips where there's no time to reshoot, there's no way to reshoot, and I just have to work with what I have. And so this particular shoot, I decided to shoot with the C100 Mark II because I wanted practice with more older cameras, just because I feel like they force you to really dial it in camera from the get-go without the luxury of shooting something in B-RAW or any kind of RAW format where you can just fix it in post. I feel like that's a very useful feature to have and to know, and so I wanted to push myself a little bit and see if I could dial it in first try in the camera, and it turns out, of course, I didn't. It was kind of a mess, but I salvaged the footage, and so I figured why not show you some of the problems that I came across, and yeah, maybe you guys might learn something, and maybe you guys could teach me something based off of my solutions to these problems. I'm still very new to Resolve. I'm barely at a point where I can work my way around Resolve, but there's still so much to learn, and I am still a student to this program. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first, like I said, this was shot in C-Log. What I did essentially was grab all my clips, Control A, right click, and then assigned them to a group. In this case, this group was the C100 clips. You could name it whatever you want, and you could group them however you want, but I figured since they were all lit the same, they were all shot the same, exposed the same, there wouldn't be a problem putting them into groups. And so I put them in a group, color transform them, CST in, always whatever I shoot in, which is Canon Cinema Gamut in this case, and Canon Log. Output to DaVinci Wide Gamut and Intermediate, and then in the post clip, go from DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate to Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. This essentially allows me to bring all my clips from one color space to another. And because everything applied to the group applies to every single clip, I could do my fine adjustments inside the clip tab per clip as needed to adjust any lighting or any curvature or any types of color grading issues per clip on a per clip basis. So with all those settings punched in, CST out, and then adjusting my primaries to look somewhat decent, I ended up with something like this. Now, of course, this has other kinds of nodes attached to them, but you get the gist. Now onto the first issue that I came across when I was shooting this, and that was the reveal of one of the clips, which, if it's not already in a group, oh no, what's going on? Oh, okay. Just gotta wait now. So, do you watch videos on here often? Oh, hey, look, it's back. Okay, so this is one of the issues that I came across was just this is what the final product essentially looked like after I had done the transforms and adjusted my primaries. And even with the primary off, with those primary adjustments off, or even adjusting them, however I needed to do it, the shot just looked so disgusting. It looked, I don't know, it looked bad, it looked uninspired. It had really harsh shadows, and that was my fault. I only went with one small light, which was I don't have it up here, but it was like a small Ulanzi light. It was a cob light. And I just wasn't happy with this clip, and I figured, okay, what can I do to make this work? And so I just deleted it from my timeline, and I was like, okay, well, what can I do? And I saw that in one of the clips, I'm opening it, and I was like, oh, hey, most of the screen is black. I could probably use this to my advantage to do sort of a swipe up back and do a screen wipe up and black out the video so that we can do a transition into the part where I am grabbing the camera and removing the film off the lens. So I was like, okay, how can I make this work? Now, the foolish side of me copied and pasted this exact video, flipped it upside down, and then essentially did a transform where with keyframes I just follow the hand as I'm pulling the box and I essentially fade to black, which was cool. I was like, okay, that's super smart. I don't have to worry about color matching and blah, blah, blah. But then later I found out I could have just done a crop on the clip and done the same thing. I could have just done a keyframe from the bottom and then cropped up all the way to the top. So that was unfortunate, but, and I'm pretty sure I could have done it this way regardless, even with the crop. Instead of cutting straight to black, which I think was one of the issues that I also came across, is, okay, I got that going, but then, you know, cutting from black to the screen just I wasn't sold. And so I just did a center wipe where I reveal the footage as it goes from black to the clip. And I don't know, I thought that looked cool. There's always different ways to get around things, but I was really happy with the fact that I was able to get those two clips to work, even though the shot that I really wanted to use was just unavailable and just not usable, unfortunately. But that's the way it is. And that was one of those things where, yeah, I could have probably reshot the clip, but I wanted to be more realistic. I know sometimes you don't always have the ability to reshoot things, and so I just tried to work with what I had. And like I said, I'm always good at fixing it, making things work, and it worked in the end. And so that was pretty fun to do. And then this is what we have. So I thought that was pretty cool. The next clip that gave me issues, or maybe not so much an issue, and as a little bit of background, which I forgot to mention, this whole video was shot with just a small little Cobalt toolbox and my monitor, my computer monitor. I just found a cool backdrop video, set the product on that toolbox, and then shot away. Nothing special. That's really all I shot when I was doing the behind the scenes footage. But I just thought I'd let you know that's how this was shot. And so one of the things that happened is that as I was trying to get the shot right with the light when I was, you know, trying to reveal the product at the end, is that the timing was slightly off sometimes. Maybe the fourth, or by the time I got to the fourth or fifth, the light would change in the back. And so that's sort of what happened here. Is it was dark, I reveal it, and then a couple seconds in, you know, the visual changes. Yeah, I could have rewound it and then done another take, but I don't know, I thought I had enough footage to work with, and like I said, because I wanted to challenge myself, I didn't want to reshoot this. And so I was thinking, okay, how can I fix this? How can I make this work? So I basically cut it to the point where I had two clips. The clip as the product was in the shadows and then about to be revealed, and then one where it's already revealed and the colors change in the background. But unfortunately, the change in scene or color just was too jarring. It was a pop. I mean, it could work, but it just seemed too jarring to me. And so to fix this, I added a little additive dissolve. So it seems more like the flicked on a light or something, and then the background changes along with it. Nothing crazy, nothing special. But I also wanted to end this shot with a slight zoom in. And so obviously when you have two different clips cut and you want to move them together at the same time and zoom in, what are you going to do? Change both clips? Like, that was my thought, until I learned about adjustment clips. And essentially an adjustment clip is just a tool, or what would you call it? It's just something that allows you to apply transforms and other kinds of things to multiple clips without having to touch each one individually. So when you play this clip without that adjustment clip, you'll see that it's just a standstill clip, no zoom, no nothing. And so you just add your adjustment clip, and anything under the adjustment clip is going to get affected by the things that you do to that adjustment clip. And so all I did was just add a keyframe to the very first frame of that clip, and then at some point, I don't know how far in, I do a small little zoom in so that when you play it back and the product gets revealed, there's a nice little zoom in at the end. And then, you know, that was pretty cool. So I wasn't aware of adjustment clips, and it was cool to see that you didn't have to do anything too complicated to get these two clips to, you know, slightly zoom in, you know, without touching both. Am I making sense? I sound so dumb, but anyways, yeah, adjustment clips. So let's go ahead and turn off the adjustment clip next, because this was another thing that I thought was really cool. Was not aware of this. Because I shot this on a toolbox. The particular toolbox that I had like little silver like outlines, and I can show you this. It had those little like drawers, and obviously I don't want people to know that this is on a toolbox. And I thought, dang, like how am I going to fix this? I could very easily have cropped the clip, I think. Let me just check it out. Let's go to the crop. I didn't think about this until later. So I could have easily cropped this. I don't think you could have noticed the difference, but that could have totally been it. And this is sort of a side effect of what happens when I, you know, don't sit on a video long enough and I'm sort of in a rush to get it out, is I don't think about sometimes the simplest solutions that can work. And in this case, a crop would have just done it right. But I think in my head, I was more worried about maybe the blacks not lining up properly. Maybe the crop black would have been too black than the black from the video. I don't know. I don't know what was going through my head, but I didn't think about cropping the video. So instead, what I ended up doing was using a patch replacer. And so if you add a new node and you look up patch replacer, you can essentially sample a part of your footage to overlay it onto something else. And that is essentially what I did for these clips, is that I just patch replace a dark area of my video on top of the part that I wanted gone. And because I needed to do this to the other part of the toolbox, I just did another replacer, grabbed a copy of whatever I needed, and then that is how I easily removed those grooves of that toolbox. And so I thought that was really cool. But again, I could have easily done a crop, and I wish I would have known that, but I didn't sit to think about it, and I just kind of did what I did. But hey, it worked out in the end, so I was pretty happy with it. And so yeah, those were basically the handful of items that sort of threw a wrench in my workflow, but I was able to overcome them with, although very complicated solutions nonetheless. And I guess if you guys want to see the rest of my color grading, so once all that was in place, I added a noise reduction because it was a bit noisy. It was sort of underexposed in some clips. So in the noise reduction, you just add your node. And from what I've learned, you always have to put it as your very first node before any other nodes. So I added a node, went into my motion effects, set my frames to 2, set my motion estimation to better, and my luma until I basically didn't see any more pixels. And then I did want to give it sort of a old school look, almost retro wave look, and I did add some film grain, although I was a little bit conflicted as to where to add it, because a lot of people typically add it at the very end on top of everything. But and I will have to agree with whoever I heard this from, sometimes it doesn't look as authentic. I heard from a couple of sources that adding it before your transform and after your noise reduction typically gives you a more authentic looking film grain. And so that's what I settled with. And so in the pre-clip, I start off with noise reduction, then I add my film grain, and then I do my transform. Obviously I do my clip adjustments per clip. I do my CST out, and then I sharpen my footage so that it's a little bit on the sharper side, because I obviously shoot in log, and so it needs just a little bit of sharpening. And then I just added a bit of halation to give it more of an old school vibe, because it was giving me like VHS, old school retro type vibes. And that's what I stuck with. And there really wasn't much to it. I didn't do anything too crazy. This video could have definitely been better, but I'm just happy that I made it work. Overall, I'm happy. Like I said, I definitely need to tinker more with the C100 Mark II, but you know, that's what these videos are here for, so I could practice and show you guys my findings. Definitely need more practice with these cameras so that I can better punch in on the first time and not have to worry about this in post. Like I said, I've been babied a little bit with the B-RAW and those RAW formats that I'll let you adjust it in post. But like I said, this is a learning process, and I'm on my road to learning this stuff. So thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.